Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. And I'm here with the incomparable, amazing, beautiful businesswoman, my homie, my friend from way back, Tina Fears. Give it up for Tina. We need all that. We need all that energy. I mean, we could start so many places, but first of all, how you doing today?
I'm good. Happy Fearless Friday.
Happy Fearless Friday.
Yeah,
I feel like God knew what He was doing when he gave you that last name. Like,
right?
It kind of just
it's
worked.
like on brand.
On brand. I know you got your hand on so many things. Tell the people a little bit about like who you are, what you do, because I can say it for you, but we're going to be here for about 2 hours for me talking. So, a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yep,
you know?
Tina Fears, a California girl with sweet tea in my veins for sure.
Okay.
Yep, LA native, but I spent more time in Atlanta. So you hear the Southern drawl.
It's there.
Atlanta made, you
there.
know. But a multi-hyphenate,
right.
A creative at heart, a businesswoman for sure. Love God, faith forward in everything that I do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And just want to make an impact. You know, I want to use everything that God has given me through my business, Stage Ready, through my acting, through my writing, performing as an actor, to just create legacy. So,
I love that.
Yeah, I'm a legacy builder for sure.
Yeah, Tina's definitely a legacy builder. So me and you connected. We've been knowing each other for probably, we talking 15 years?
We talking about 15 years.
Dang, that's a long time. So way back, I was producing full time or whatever, and I met Tina at a talent show at Georgia State Random. You wanna tell the
I was like in this, doing all the creative things, and was with this group called the Soul Food Band.
Right.
And one of the guys in the band, I think either was like at Georgia State, attended Georgia State,
right.
And we performed at this talent show. Now, I had already transitioned from Clark, Atlanta, which we'll get into all of that. So the college scene wasn't my thing, but we were performing. And I think we either won the talent show or did well enough, and you or your partner, Motown, either gave me the business card or something. And then we linked up. And I, being the businesswoman that I am, followed up. Like, I think either sent y'all an email or a phone call or something. Instantly, right? That's a part of the secret sauce. And followed up, and we just kind of connected. And been rocking since.
I was judging the talent show, and I remember sitting next to my business partner at the time, Motown. Shout out Motown. And we were like, "Yo, who's the lead singer? Tina, she the star." And we immediately the way you. This is kind of a good segue into what you do. The way you owned and the way you own the stage. I was like, "Oh, this person's not scared. She brings an energy and excitement and charisma." And so we ended up doing a bunch of sessions, like writing or producing. I mean, we were all just. I wouldn't say, not that we didn't know what we were doing, but we were just young, ambitious, and just being creative. And fast forward, we did a bunch of like stuff. You were like right with us to do hooks.
We was doing hooks, radio stuff. Remember Coco?
Oh, yeah.
We did those radio drop ins and outs for Coco Brother.
I remember that. That's crazy.
It was dope. They had me recording in a linen closet, y'all.
This is way back.
Way back.
So,
but we produced some good
stuff. This is like 2010, and then somehow we made some records. We made this random record that we had made together called Walking on Water. And we had no idea, no intention for the record, really. We were just cooking.
It was like, here, T, this is what we working on today. Because we were recording regularly.
Right. Yeah, like every week we was doing sessions.
And it was a wonderful collaborative process. Like we were unapologetically like just bringing our art forward.
Sure.
Y'all were open to my ideas.
Right.
They would send me beats. I would like come up with melodies. And how'd you come up with that out of that? So we were just rocking and rolling, walking on water.
And then somehow this is cool because we didn't have at the time I didn't have like a bunch of like placement opportunities. We had a few things. I know you had Dietrich Haddon, and it wasn't like we were making records for these specific things. And somehow I got connected to Lecrae. Shout out Lecrae. And the first month I met Lecrae, this is 2010, probably like June, I played him a bunch of beats, and we played him Walking on Water.
Okay.
And he took the song and ended up being on his Rehab album that was Grammy nominated and that you worked on with us. So shout out you, Tina.
Shout out to you.
Yeah. How was that experience?
It was amazing just to know that we have been collaborating on so many different things, because y'all were pitching a lot of stuff. Like, East Coast, West Coast, like whatever.
Yeah.
And to see something like land in the lap of an artist who we know was really integral in moving this Christian hip hop thing forward.
For sure,
like,
for sure.
You know, we like around the same age, but I remember the early Christian hip hop days of like the Cross Movement, Ambassador, like.
Yeah. But your husband's like tapped in.
He
Day one.
Old head, yeah, day one. So, you know, when Lecrae came on the scene, it was like a big deal.
It was, yeah.
Because there was a freshness that was coming to,
for sure,
helping to expand, you know, what we know the genre to be now. So
you had an intricate role in Lecrae's rehab on Walking on Water. I remember at the rehab tour, I was there, you was there.
Oh my
gosh, I forgot about that. He performed Walking on Water.
Yes.
And I remember he said, quote, shout out Tina Fears on the mic. And I think it was a moment for all of us to like kind of to play a small part in that album, which kind of not cemented, but it established Lecrae commercially.
Yeah.
I mean, Reach Records it wasn't what it was then what it is now. And I remember that rehab album kind of like opened some things up. And shout out you for being a part of that. So
that's huge.
that was a whole little it was a moment. You talked about building legacy. I felt like God allowed us to build naturally and organically and led you to be a part of something that did build some legacy. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope.
So talk about backstory. I want to know, tell people like, how did you get, I mean, you are an actor, actress, singer, businesswoman. You do so many things. Where did this come from? Like, what's your backstory? Like, how did you get into it?
Yeah, my backstory is I am the product of two people who went to LA with big dreams. My dad was an amazing artist. He's still on the earth with us, but an amazing songwriter, producer who just was never realized, you know, coming from Akron, went to LA like in the 70s. My mom also went to Los Angeles, but she's from Cleveland. Okay. Because my grandmother was pursuing her dreams. Now, if you were a talented person in that time, it was like a great migration. Black people were either going to LA or they were going to New York. That was it.
That's
fair. Know, if you wanted fame and
now
fortune,
they're coming to Atlanta.
Now they're coming to the A. But they both, you know, went there to pursue their dreams. Right. They wanted a bigger life. They wanted a better life. They knew they had talent. And my dad got really close. I've told you before, you know, he had a placement with the Jacksons on the Victory album. So we grew up seeing like the gold record up in the house. Goodness. You know, that was a big moment for him. But I believe I am his legacy because he was only able to go so far. And so I took what I learned from my father's creativity. Right. And when I say the coldest singer ever in my life, like that's who vocally trained me. I will always give my dad props. And I wish that people knew there are so many people like my dad, you know, who could sing, but you know, maybe didn't have the business savvy or didn't have the opportunity to really go to that. He demoed for a lot of people, but he never got his own deal to really shine. Flip side, my mom was always the businesswoman. So my dad would, you know, get the jobs, do the jobs. My mom would work the deals on the back end. Really? So that's why I kind of say I'm like the show and the business. I got my dad's creativity, but my mom's business savvy.
That's amazing.
So music changed in the 90s, you know, come through the 80s, 90s. And that was a hard time because what people were accustomed to hearing with like the Whispers and the Commodores and that whole sound shifted when hip hop came about, especially on the West Coast.
Oh yeah, y'all was in LA at that time.
Yeah, we was in LA. Yeah, like I grew up in Northridge in the Valley. Okay, but you know we were North Hollywood. Like
that's the whole studio district.
That's the whole studio district. Capitol Records, like all of that. So when it shifted, that was a hard time for my dad as an artist because he was kind of banking on that one thing, you know. And so as a young person, I observed what that did to our family, the discouragement that my dad experienced as an artist, and I just made up my mind, like, bro, I'm going the opposite direction. Even though I could sing.
Yeah. What was the opposite direction for you?
To go to school to be a teacher.
Really? You was going to be a teacher?
Yep. When I was at Clark.
You was running away from music.
I was running, bro. Like running.
God had other plans, y'all.
He had other plans. And so, and that's why just that fearlessness, you know, we'll get to that. I didn't realize it then, but the trauma kind of had me shell-shocked.
Really?
I'm like, I need to do something where I know I can pay the bills, where I know I can pay my mortgage, where I can, you know. Yeah. But God had something greater in store for me. And I, you know, went through college, went through high school, and got to Clark Atlanta and ran out of money.
That's real life, y'all.
That's real life.
I think people don't like, you're talking about, you know, I'm hearing you say like, your dad was obviously in it, not pursuing it. He was in it.
Oh, he was in it.
And you know, to stay in it is tough. And you kind of like decided to kind of go a different direction. But you know, what did it look like for you to kind of be pulled back into music? And like, what was the moment you knew, I think I need to like engage entertainment, media, music?
Yeah,
like,
because everything that I had curated for my life, the bottom just fell out of it. Like, let's back up a little bit. So when I was in high school, I had the opportunity to go to a performing arts high school. So at the time, it was Avondale Group in DeKalb. For people who are familiar,
that's like
right? Right. So now it's the DeKalb School of the Arts, but it was Avondale.
Okay.
And I didn't want to leave. This is, again, me fighting with it. Fighting. I auditioned. I got accepted. Now, you know, I probably would have gone to Howard. If I went through the performing arts program, I would have gone to Howard. That's more along the track if you're pursuing the arts. And I freaked out. I got in, didn't take the opportunity, finished high school at Lasanna, cheered and all that kind of stuff, but nothing was arts focused. So then I got into Clark, cheered at Clark Atlanta.
I know that.
I didn't sing in the Philharmonic. I didn't do anything music-wise while I was at Clark. The bottom fell out. And we were always a God-fearing, faith-forward family. And it was just a moment where it was like, God, I need you.
Right.
Like, everything that I've done is not working out.
Right.
My knee got messed up cheering. That's gone. You running out of tuition money. That's gone.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like, everything just kind of.
Tina didn't have a silver spoon.
Nah.
This is like, I mean, I'm looking at you now, and I'm like, yo, you think, you know, but you.
Oh, it was in the trenches. We was in the trenches. But God had always stayed at the center of everything that I was doing, because I knew that I couldn't bank on anything else. I couldn't bank on, money my parents saved for school, or I couldn't bank on, I got this wild card, I can play this scholarship. It was really me and the Lord, So the bottom fell out of all of that. And that moment that you just asked about was, okay, Tina, you got to use what I've given you. Nothing that you're doing is working.
Right.
Your plan is trash, sis. Number one.
Your plan is trash.
Your plan is trash.
That's a t-shirt or something.
Yeah. And so it was like, okay, well, what do you have? What's in your bag?
Right.
Okay, I can sing, I can dance, I can act.
Yeah.
I'm extremely organized.
This woman organized.
The gift of gab.
Facts.
I understand the art of negotiation, and I have a twofold perspective on the entertainment industry. How can you package that into a business so you can make some money? And I prayed about it and mulled over this idea. I was working part-time. I had transferred to the Art Institute, so I was getting closer to the arts. So I was like doing classes at the Art Institute, and it was like, you need to create this entertainment hub called Stage Ready, where you get artists ready for the stage, where you do artist development, where you choreograph for their tours, where you find them background singers, where you do casting. Because at the time, nothing like that was really going on. And Reach hadn't even arrived at that time. We're talking about 2005, 6, 7, right along that time. Like, that's probably around the time y'all graduated from Georgia State, right?
Yeah, around it, yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of my $100 in a dream. Like, take $100, start the LLC.
Whoa.
So you can get a bank
Got
account.
That EIN.
You know what I'm saying? Gotta be on paper.
Gotta be on paper.
Gotta be legit.
Don't be hustling. Get that legit business.
Get that legit business. So yeah, that was that moment.
And you, I mean, you went on to do so much. I mean, you were doing choreography for like major art. I think you did some work with Usher.
Yeah. We worked with Usher's foundation, and it was just betting on myself. Like, Ace, I was literally like, had 2 laptops on my desk. I was working for this company, professional cheer company.
I remember,
those tools. Yep, working at FCC. This is kind of like around the time that we were starting to connect. And then I would have my little stage ready, like $199 computer. Yeah. And I would be emailing.
Back and forth, connecting,
like taking my vacation days and like not going on vacation and like flying to LA with Smokey Norfolk, or like flying with Dietrich, because I was just betting on myself. I knew God had called me to greater. Right. And I felt like the situation I was in at the time was just a means to an end. Right. It wasn't my story.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm sure you have situations where you do what you need to do to get you through. But when you have vision for yourself.
Yeah. I think that's so dope, because a lot of times, especially like aspiring creatives, especially people in the faith trying to be creative, they kind of like want it to happen when you kind of have to embrace the situation. And you may have to work 2 jobs. You may have to work your real job and your dream job at the same time. And you got to be faithful to both. You can't be slacking on the real job either.
Got to be a good steward, because the rent still due.
The rent still due, y'all. And I think people don't understand like that kind of sacrifice that it takes to scale to be where you are right now, I think is amazing. So we could definitely get back into this more in the next segment, man. I'm having a great time talking with you.
This is good.
This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm your host, Ace Harris, here with
Tina Fears.
Stay tuned for more, y'all. We'll be right back. Welcome back, y'all. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm your host, Ace Harris, here with
Tina Fears.
Tina Fears, who's really fearless out here. We're kind of just catching up on how she, persevered through so many, obstacles to kind of pave the way to be an established businesswoman. And just, I mean, I'm learning more about you now that I didn't even know, which is, it just kind of like cements why it's so important for you to be here, just to kind of share your story with people who are sitting on their couches somewhere or tuning in live on Sirius, just trying to figure out where is God leading me. And I think it's good to hear these stories. So fast forward, stage ready, you working, you got 2 laptops.
Right.
How did you get some business going? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How did you get like amazing clientele to even, you know what I'm saying? Like tell me what that looks like. People hear I hear you, but how did you get those deposits, sis?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Coins.
How you get them coins?
It really was in the early days. I mean, there was something called Craigslist. I mean, people don't know about that, but if you knew, it was just like I had to use what I had, because remember, I only had $100 per se to start the business.
Right.
And so anything I could do that was free advertisement,
Sure.
back in the MySpace days, like I'm not trying to date myself, but I'm gonna keep it real.
Yeah.
Like my light was always on, and at that time it was a little easier to kind of get access to people. So if it was someone that I thought, and this was before branding even was language that I understood, but I was like, okay, that's on brand for me, because this person is more of a contemporary artist.
Sure.
Their music could use some dance and it could use some movement, or I know they're getting ready to go on tour.
Gotcha.
I like how they're styling her. We might be a good fit. I was intentional about who I was pitching myself to.
Sure. Talk to us about who you were pitching yourself to.
Yeah, I was pitching myself. Of course, Dietrich. I worked with Dietrich for a long time. I pitched myself to like Usher's New Look Foundation. At the time, he was really leaning into his philanthropic work. And so I knew that I had something I could bring. He's working with a lot of young people.
Right.
So I was over their dance program and their dance department, did a lot of service work with them. Ended up working with Smokey Norfolk. He did that's like one of my favorite
Legendary.
singers. Legendary.
Come on.
Yes,
Yeah.
Pastor Norfolk, and still connected to a lot of these people. So just really saying like, hey, this is what I do. Ace, I had little flyers printed.
Really?
I was like emailing and mailing. Emailing wasn't really even how we were communicating at the time. I was like getting a stamp, researching where their studio was. Like if we went back in time, like Reach Records would get some mail from Stage Ready.
I love it.
I mean, I was using what I learned in the corporate space, and just applying it in the entertainment. I was just shooting my shot, really.
But you were being professional with it, like
I was trying to be, and they bit. And then once you start working with people, you turn on Celebration of Gospel and see someone who's known as a crooner sitting at the piano doing a full-on live production with dancers and tumbling and all of this. That was proof that she can back up what she's saying. Right. So when I put my rate out there, you're going to get what you're paying for.
Sure. Quality.
Quality.
Excellent.
Always. And client retention was important to me too.
Sure.
I mean, even if we talk about, reach, I'm always a phone call away.
For sure.
And I think when you do good work and do it with integrity.
Right.
Like, even if it's like, T, now that singer ain't really hit, then it's like my responsibility to find you somebody else. Right. And make sure the next time that person doesn't come back, because it is business. It's
definitely business. And so you went on to do amazing things with Stage Ready, but you didn't stop there. Like you said the word multi-hyphenate. Sorry, I'm fumbling it, but like you got your hands in so many things. Like you went on to found like the Fearless movement, and like talk about that and some of the other things that you put your hands to.
Yeah. Well, we opened the show up kind of really giving a little bit of my testimony. And so the Fearless movement is my way of serving specifically young women who are like I was. I want to be to them who I needed. Right. And so through the Fearless movement, we're servicing young women with scholarship opportunities. We've collaborated with another organization to do a toy drive. You're familiar with that. But just really empowering people. Right. Like I remember being someone who just needed a shot. Right. And so it kind of works twofold with my business, because even with Stage Ready, we have a training funnel through the company where when people work with me, interns are paid interns, so that when you leave, you now have this skill set that you can go and take and go get your next job. And a lot of people who intern with me now have their own businesses. And so I don't believe in just workhorsing you.
That's great.
Like I want to give you the tools so you can be successful.
That's amazing.
We
need more of that. empowering people, not stifling them.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And talk about like, the organization Black and all the things that you're doing there as well. Like,
yeah. So Blacked is an organization I co-founded with 2 other creatives. They're actors in Atlanta. And here in Atlanta, it's a right to work state in the state of Georgia. There isn't always advocacy on behalf of artists. When you're in Los Angeles or in New York, there are a lot of unions that are in place, and you can be a part of a union here, but there wasn't really a hub specifically for Black performers prior to like 2019. And we all know what happened in 2020.
Yeah, it was
wild.
It was wild out here.
Yeah, it was wild. So what we did was we decided to, kind of put the community on our backs and be that mouthpiece when people needed someone to speak up for them in the workplace, or when casting was not accurate, or when pay wasn't right. And it kind of started out as, we were in the trenches, like butting heads, fighting for people, but it's really evolved into something that's more of a community.
Right.
And we know for our people what community looks like is needed, especially in places where you're the minority.
Yeah. It's good to have that, because even in spaces that I'm in, I it's not easy, but you want to like, I think like even from a faith standpoint, God always cares about the least of these, the person who don't have that silver spoon,
right?
Who don't have that tuition money from dad,
right?
Who don't have that person in the room that can say, "Oh, I'm going to give this person a shot." And I obviously, shout out to you. You are the one that's like has broken through, because you're just a you persevere. You're just a fearless person, no pun, but, not everybody's like that.
Right.
And I think there's some people who are less fortunate, are very talented. They have it, but they just don't have that person just kind of help pull them along,
right.
nudge them forward. And I feel like I've definitely tried to be that for some people. Like, this person, they just need a little bit of push.
That's right. And you see the potential in people, right? You find the potential, and then, I've seen you connect people where it's like, hey, they got the potential, they got the goods, but they may need accountability, or they may need someone to say like, let me show you what your situation can look like if you choose this path, For
sure. And so you obviously are doing so many great things, helping people, empowering people, but I felt like you kind of hit a wave in your career and your business when I started seeing Tina on TV, y'all, everywhere, screens. Like, how did you like be so flexible to like talk about how you got into acting, how that was like another like part of your like your offerings as an artist. Like, how did you want to get into that? Or did you walk into it? Was it intentional? Like, how did you get to where you was like getting cast in roles after you've done so much other things? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I felt that tug on my heart that, I really just couldn't turn my back on that little girl in California who came up in the studios and singing and all of that. And I realized that I had kind of found my groove with the business, but I still desired more.
Like what? Because most people would say, Tina, you're killing it behind the scenes. You're platforming people on stage, but was there a moment where you're like, you know what? I think I could be on that stage too. Like what talk about
There was always that.
Okay.
It was always, and I think that's what made me good at my job.
Gotcha.
Right? Because even now, like, when I would do sessions and stuff, a lot of times I would be in the sessions kind of co-vocal producing or singing the parts or whatever. Right. So I think that was kind of my wild card.
Sure.
It helped me be great in the stage-ready spaces because I was never asking somebody to do something that I couldn't do.
Okay.
And I think that makes a difference.
Right.
Versus just sitting back and kind of directing. When you've been there, you've been in those shoes, you kind of add a little flavor. You bring something different to the table. So I always felt like I could do those things. But really around the time that my son was probably about 4, I was like, okay, we've done this mommy thing, which is my favorite role of all roles in the world, of course. But I felt like I had a little more to give. And it might have been a little kind of, I don't want to say midlife crisis, but it was kind of like, man.
I feel like you had a little chip on your shoulder. Like
something. I had something to prove.
You had something to prove.
Call me out, Ace.
Hey, I felt, because honestly, I saw you like,
I know, you
going
did.
up. I was like, Tina out here, don't sleep on the kid. Watch out. Watch me work. But I think what's dope is,
hold on. Because you're right, actually. You're right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. We're going to keep it real on this thing.
Look. Media, culture, especially with women, especially with Black women.
Yes.
We at times, culture, and maybe our, the patriarchal blind spots of me, we try to like put working mothers in this little box.
Yep.
You stay right here. You had your baby. You got your business. Stay right there.
Yep.
Or you're not 25 anymore. You stay right there.
Yep.
But look at Superwoman.
Yeah. I mean, you saying it like that, that's the first time I can really say like, yeah, I did have a chip on my shoulder and I had something to prove. And that's just that dog and that fight. Yeah,
but
it was
I think
there.
maybe the prove is not necessarily, I don't want to speak for you, but I think for me, proving something is not necessarily externally. Like I'm here to like, people in church, I'm here to pray on your haters, show them. It's like, that energy can lead you to like a toxic place of vengefulness, where it's like, nah, I'm proving to myself and I'm proving to my calling and my purpose that God has more in me that I'm limiting because of these internal limitations that I put on myself. When it's like, nah, you can be an accomplished businesswoman, a devoted spouse and wife, an engaged mother, and be an actress that pursues that at a later time in career and still kill it. Yeah. I mean, talk about that.
Yeah, it was definitely like shooting my shot again, betting on myself. I've always, and I know it's kind of cliche, but like always saw myself as my greatest competition, like always.
Right.
It was like even when I ran track in high school, like when I was performing, cheerleader, whatever, it was like, you can do better. Try one more time.
Okay.
Go harder.
Right.
So I do think I was at a point in my life when I was like, let's just see what happens.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful though. Like
let's just see.
What's the worst that can happen?
A no, and you,
back at square one.
So
talk about. I mean, I know I know a little bit. Can you just list off some of the things that you and don't be humble or bashful. Can you just keep it 100? Some of the things that you've been featured on, the things you've acted on, and just some of your appearances in the acting space.
Yeah, so I started doing theater, musical theater here in Atlanta. So In the Heights, which we know they kind of like made into a movie and was really popular on Broadway. I did that. Dreamgirls, which is a classic. I think y'all came to see.
I was there.
Came to see Dreamgirls. Yeah, that was a fun show. Most recently, The Wiz. The 20th anniversary of The Wiz is going to Broadway now. So I was recently in that production in 2 roles. Eveline and Ada Pearl.
You played 2 roles on that thing?
It was wild, bro.
And you was out there, your wardrobe game was probably crazy.
Yeah, it was a huge challenge. And then commercial wise, I've been really blessed to have commercials with Ford and Walmart and the Home Depot. I do a lot of voiceover work too, so I was able to voice that.
Voice.
Animation, some cool stuff. And then Genius Aretha, which was a really big project with Cynthia Erivo and Courtney B. Vance.
You've won something?
Yeah, I won a couple awards for that. Yeah,
talk about the awards. Come on, let them know. Let them know what you got.
A Breakthrough Performance Award for my role as Clara Ward. A lot of people don't know Clara Ward was a legendary gospel singer who actually dated Aretha Franklin's father.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they were like an off and on couple. And Courtney B. Vance played C.L. Franklin, and she mentored Aretha. So a lot of Aretha's styling and showmanship came from Claire Ward. So it was dope to play a real person who was a gospel singer. And that's me singing on the show.
And that's you, like, it's such on brand for you.
On brand, yeah.
Like, that's what it seemed like it was like a natural reflex.
It was God, for real.
That's amazing.
Like, your first, like, major television role, you're going to get out here and play this gospel legend.
Which is like,
I
think it's dope because it don't seem like that's so like in alignment for what you already kind of do. So it just God kind of was like, I got this role for you.
It was beautiful.
Just walk up in this, and you killed it. Super dope. I think it's so amazing that you had the courage to pursue something at a time when most people would have said, just stick with what you got, stick in the safe zone. And I think that's what's dope about being fearless is like, being fearless ain't necessarily being without fear. It's like pushing through.
That's right.
And embracing that fear, but not letting that fear kind of hold you down.
That's exactly what it is.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, just say more.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on panels with people, and I would talk about like this fearless mindset and how it's such a life mantra for me. And I would have someone that would say, well, I don't think it's real to say that you're not scared. And I'm like, I'm not saying you're not scared. I'm not saying that fear doesn't exist. What I'm saying is like, let's identify what that is and make sure we can equip ourselves to navigate through those phases of fear.
Yeah.
And you're being fearless in the pursuit of what's setting your soul on fire. That's the other part.
That's amazing.
I know I want to get to that finish line.
Yeah.
I've got to figure out how I'm going to navigate the doubt, navigate the naysayers, navigate the insecurity, to get to the other side because I'm trying to get to that greater purpose, that greater goal.
For sure.
You know?
And I think fearless, I mean, I just want to spin it like, I mean, not to be like cliche, but it's not without fear, literally, I kind of process like you fear less. Like
That's
it's
right.
less fear.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like the fear is there, but many times, especially with an age like mental health and anxiety, which is, I'm not trying to downplay anybody's real struggles. The struggles are here, but the world that we're in wasn't made to be without fear and struggle. So either you're gonna embrace and push through, or you're gonna like collapse and be fearful.
Right.
And I feel like the what's on the other side of that is just like engaging, embracing. And what's the worst that's gonna happen from you trying your best? What's
the worst?
That's the worst.
No, rejection, fall, get back up. Like we can't be afraid to fail, man.
You can't be afraid to fail. You got to be able to. I'm gonna risk this, and you know what? And when your identity is really secured in who you are and who God made you, you can't let nobody else tell you what failure looks like anyway.
That's
so
right.
we can say some more of that for the next episode. We about to go to church on y'all real quick. So this is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I am your host Ace Harris here with the incomparable, fearless
Tina Fears.
Let's get it. Stay tuned, y'all. Welcome back. We having a good time over here talking. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. Hanging and talking with my sister, Tina Fears, y'all.
Yeah.
We just, and I think kind of keep the conversation going. We were just talking about like, to do what we do optically great. One of my favorite verses is like, man looks at the outside appearance, God looks at the heart. So my takeaway is like, okay, yeah, God looks at the heart, but hey, you gotta dress up for that interview. You have to present yourself in a way that's, mindful of how humans, fashion ourselves and how we view things. However, the optics are what they are, but I like to kind of look under the hood because I feel like that's what kind of keeps the car running. So talk about like, what is it in your spirit and soul in the quiet time? What is it about your relationship with God that sustains you to keep you going? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think a lot of what I experience on a daily, just being in the industry, is like a lot of ups and downs. And that can cause, we hear the words anxiety used a lot, insecurity.
Sure.
But when I look back, and it's going to sound churchy and cliche, but I love God. But when I look back over my life and really think about the situations that God has brought me through, the way that I have been protected, the way that my steps have been ordered, I'm able to just lean not on my own understanding, but trust that I have a Heavenly Father who is like strategically maneuvering and planning and orchestrating my life.
Right.
And so for me, that is the constant. Like I'm a very faith-forward woman.
Yeah.
My relationship with God is at the forefront of everything I do. Business deals, auditions. Like I've been dropped from agents because I've declined auditions before.
Really?
I was okay with that.
How did you arrive? Like, were those tough decisions? Like how did you?
In the earlier years, yes.
Sure.
I'm arriving in a place of season.
Hey, come on, Harvest.
All right,
That's
come
good.
on. We're arriving in a place of season now where like those no's are like, it's like turning the page.
Really?
I used to get really upset over, because I got a little perfectionist in me.
Sure.
So if things weren't lining up and weren't happening and I had to, make a tough decision, like I would wrestle with it. It'd be very clear what I needed to do. But me trying to, I would wrestle with it. But it was like, this is not on brand for me. And by on brand meaning, is my family gonna be cool with this? Is my son gonna be all right with this? I'm in a place now where like my son's friends like follow me on social media.
Wow.
So all of that plays into who I am and how I move through this world.
That's
like,
good. Like those are the things that people probably don't see that you have to like filter, like, and talk about like even like those ups and downs. What are some of those other ups and downs, like in the music, in the media, not just music because you multi-hyphenate, but like the music, the media, the arts, like what do those downs look like? Yeah,
those downs look like not getting a job. Period.
Like the phone just
like, and not even that. Like let's not go to like the hard radio site. Let's go to auditioning constantly.
Okay.
For TV shows, like auditioning, having relationships with casting directors, being proven, doing a big show and thinking like, okay, I did this, so the next thing should come. And then there's a waiting period,
How does that? How do you handle that? That seems stressful.
It is stressful. I mean, this whole, we've talked about it, this entire industry, music, arts, whatever, life.
Right.
Let's just make it life. It's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be rejection, but you got to know who you are.
That's facts.
You got to know who you are, and you have to know that when you desire not your own will, but God's will for your life, it's like, it's hard. By no means do I have all the answers, people. I don't.
For sure. None of us do.
But I can accept if that door didn't open, like that's not where he wanted me.
That's good.
That's not where he wanted me.
So you just go to the next door.
You got to just go to the next door. But that's also where that multi-hyphenate thing comes in too, though.
Yeah.
Ace, right?
I think that's a word for people to hear. Like,
yeah, man, we can't just put all our eggs in one basket. And most people have more than one thing that they're good at.
That's true.
That's how that's how I've been able to exist. You know, we always call each other hybrids. Like you producing, but you closing deals, you this is that and the other. And so when you have more that you can offer, you just have to be savvy enough to figure out how can I use those tools to be a means of making money and be lucrative and fulfill the things I'm passionate about. You know? So like, all right, y'all ain't called on audition tip, but I got Post-it notes on the wall for artists that I'm sending background vocalists to or connecting for tours or whatever. Yeah. So, you know, God has sustained me in that way.
That's super dope. I mean, like how can you, like, speaking to like the person that's aspiring to be creative, let's speak to like the hybrid person. How do they like be hybrid but still be good at both? Because I feel like sometimes the temptation is to be, you got your hands on multiple things and multiple things is lacking. Right. I feel like that's what I see a lot. Like, how do you manage to do things all with like excellence and still have a lot going on? You know what I'm saying? Because
we'll do a whole lot and be doing a whole lot of nothing. Huh?
For real. I be seeing people like that too. Because like on the other side of it, you're multi-hyphenate, you're doing a lot of different things, but it's all done with excellence. Whereas, you know, the kind of like freelance creative, they're like, yo, I do this, I do that, and I do that. And sometimes for me, especially as an exec, sometimes it can just feel like, well, you're just trying to get on. You see. You're not just hungry, you feel thirsty.
Yeah, the work is coming in under is what it is.
Right,
the work is not where it needs to be. It's coming in under. So I think for me, it was kind of like a trial and error a little bit. Yeah. You know, and you figure out like the things that you're good at, but also what you're passionate about. Like that's just because I can do graphic design doesn't mean I'm great at graphic design. And if it's not something I'm excited about doing and I'm doing it well, just because I can do it doesn't mean that's what I should be doing.
So play to your strengths.
Play to your strengths. Right. So you lean into those things that there should be a through line, I believe, too, because I think the blessing that I've noticed in what I do is one thing kind of connects to the other. Right. But if I was like, okay, yeah, I sing, act, dance, and producing, and I also braid hair, and I got my own hairline, and then like we launching a makeup thing too. Like, yeah, kind of, but that's a little far fetched. It's like, you know, I respect people who are in those spaces and do those things really well. So I think to go back to your question, it's like find those things that connect.
Things that connect. You know? Oh, right. So that way, as business comes, hey, I can do this for you. Yeah. And by the way, you need help with that too.
That's a service suite. Come on, branding, marketing. Create that service suite.
Service suite, for sure.
Yeah, create that service suite so then it makes sense. And it's like there's some consistency in the way that you're producing these things.
That's amazing. So talk about, I want you to name like one really high point in your career, specifically like in business, whether that's the acting, the choreography, the stage ready. Tell me like one of your highest highs. Yeah. I'm like when you was like, woo, this is what we cooking over here. I'm gonna ask the alternative in a little bit too.
Yeah. So go ahead. I think for the business, it was definitely being recognized by Black Enterprise.
That's a
like
moment.
That's like a magazine that I would see in my home as a little girl. Wow. It was like at Black Enterprise, Essence, Ebony Jet. Like that's what we saw coming up. And it's so amazing because that is kind of on brand for Tina. So for Stage Ready to be recognized, I did a program at Cornell University and we were featured by Bank of America through the pandemic.
Right. I remember.
In a pivot. And so to just be recognized by Black Enterprise, like that was huge for me because I'm somebody who $100 in a dream.
Right. That was literally
college,
you. Yeah.
Like ran out of money during college, bootstrapped the business. And then to be recognized by people that an organization, a platform that I admired, that was a big moment for me.
That's amazing. And that was like recent too, which is kind of dope. All right, so let's flip it. What was like a low moment in like, you know, for you business wise that was like, man, I mean, obviously you came out the trenches, now you got some motion, and then something just kind of was like a downer. You know what I'm saying? Like, is there a moment you could think of where you was like, I know I'm not done, but this is kind of a setback that I need to like filter.
Yeah. I mean, I was, and you know this, I was consulting with a company for an extensive period of time and kind of got a little distracted because it was still a stage ready client, but I had got so caught in that bubble that my call, the vision that God gave me for my business kind of got overshadowed in the midst of kind of building this other person's situation.
Right.
Very lucrative, made a lot of money.
Sure.
You know, learned.
I remember,
acquired great skills that I use now, but it was a gut check.
Really?
Because it was like, are you selling out in this situation? Are you compromising your ethics for these coins?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because there were things that were from what I believe business looks like that were not healthy. You know what I'm saying? And so I wouldn't say it was like an extreme low, but it was definitely like a good check.
Wow.
And the perfectionist in me, you know, it rocked me for a little bit. You know, and the pandemic came and was a beautiful transition out of that season.
Yeah.
That was God.
Shout out
Some
God.
good things came out of that pandemic, bruh.
Really? That's amazing. I mean, I think
good things.
It's like kind of like tying it back to like, you know, obviously our show, man, the 116 Life, Faith, Life, and Culture, Faith, Music, and Culture, just all those different connection points. But I think it's beautiful to hear how someone who's kind of got business in motion, navigating some things that, you know, may kind of like, you know, affect how we do business, affect our ethics, our morality. Cause like, I think, you know, especially in the Christian space, you know, we obviously work in different industries. I have before, still do at times, but there's like a pressure to stay right here. And you found out a way to like still be a light in other, you know, other spaces, carry that light forward, be unashamed, but not be boxed in. And you're navigating these really kind of like, not everybody can do that. How do you find like the confidence to navigate faith, business, this deal, not this deal, ethics, and still be out here floating? You know what I'm saying?
Figuring it out. Like I'm trying to figure it out as I go.
Right.
Like I said, life experience teaches you a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's been some times when that bank account be looking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, woo, help, Lord.
I feel you.
I mean, that's entrepreneurship though, you know, especially when you are in the bootstrapping space, you don't crowdfund. Like those things didn't exist when I started my business. I didn't even understand what that was because it didn't exist, you know.
That's crazy.
But through it all,
I
just have to lead with like, I know my God has me.
Right.
I have a wonderful support in my husband,
Shout
you know.
out Marty.
Yeah. Brother Fears, you know, he anchors us.
Right.
And it's a blessing to be able to do the things that I do. And in the midst of a pandemic or season of maybe drought or slow, whatever, like my life is still,
that's good,
you know, consistent. Firm foundation, spouse,
amazing.
You know, a partner. So I can't sit up here and be like, she out here doing it. No, I got a husband that's like,
hey,
you know, making sure.
Hey, more black marriages, y'all. You know what I'm saying? For
definitely.
real, which is something that,
yeah,
just being a model for your son and other people. And so I mean, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to like share to the people, you know, that you got going on that I may have missed. Feel free to just
we got some things coming up. We bet on ourselves again. It's a season of like, I literally put an Instagram post up that said like, this is my greatest creative era yet. Like I'm owning. That's a bold statement.
I love it.
But it's just like it's no holds barred. Like we're pitching to networks. We're writing shows. We are owning our space in music more and being open about like, nah, I'm not just going background. We gonna vocal produce it too. Like trust me to do this for you. You know,
amazing.
And being able to produce results from that. And as an actor, we coming out this strike. We coming out swinging. You know, ready for that series regular role. But if I could share this with the listening audience, I just want to encourage the people that are out there that might be kind of in a space of transition, a space of needing clarity, to really trust and believe that God knew you before you knew yourself.
Facts.
Right?
Yeah.
And so even the trying times that you might be in, these tumultuous season, if you just trust and believe that your steps are going to be ordered, if you just keep living the next day, that's something that me and my sister talk about all the time.
That's good.
Like if you're just in a space of not giving up, that if I can just hold on
That's
I
good.
know that greater is coming for me on the other side, that it will open up.
That's good.
And be open to connecting with people. Like a lot of times people want this straight to the top momentum.
Yeah.
But you might have to send your sister a text and be like, hey, I'm in between. You got any work?
That's
you know
good.
somebody that's doing this, you know somebody doing this. You know, because a lot of times the culture happens in this place of optics and pride. I got it together. I'm winning.
Nah.
Winning season. It's like, nah, life is for real out here.
Yeah. That's
you know,
good. I love that.
Especially for creatives.
Especially for creatives,
It's real out here. So be open to connecting with people and expressing what you want. I'm very open about what I ask God. Like, I'm like, Father, this is what I desire for my life. This is what I want, my legacy. This is what I want for my family. And just allow me to be a vessel that you can use and help me navigate to get to those things the way that you want me to get to it.
Man, that's amazing. I think, yeah, I can't even say, I can't say nothing else. You have definitely dropped some gems for the people.
Be encouraged, y'all.
And you encouraging me as well. How can they find you? Where the socials, like people can just tap in with you?
At Tina Fears on everything.
Okay.
Put into Google, it might come up, but it's just Tina Fears on all platforms and tinafears.com.
That's amazing. Well, shoot, that's it, y'all. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. Tina, it was amazing talking to you, getting to have you share your story. I definitely think people will be encouraged by it. So, stay tuned, y'all. See y'all next time, 116 Life.
Hey.
Let's get it.